Disclaimer. At Two Addicts and a Moron, we discuss personal stories of addiction with the intention of being educational, relatable, and inspirational. The views and experiences shared are those of individuals involved, are not meant to glorify or condone any illegal or harmful behavior. This content is for educational purposes only and is not intended as professional advice. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, we strongly encourage you seek help from a qualified professional or support service. Well, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the room.
You can't. Okay.
We have crying puppies in the background today. You made a horrible decision and bought two more dogs. God damn,
I went
dude.
to.
It's like Animal Kingdom in here.
So the place that I went to look at dogs, they said they were $700 each. I was like, I can do that. Not a big deal. When we get there, those fucking dogs were sold.
Oh.
And these ones were like $1,700 each.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake to bring my daughter with me. And fucking once she's seen them, it's like.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money for a dog.
Yeah, I should have just got on fucking Craigslist. Is Craigslist still a thing?
Or like the Humane Society.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of dogs over there. Caitlin would have loved them.
So.
Well, there's like 800 fucking animals in this house now.
Yeah.
Fish and gerbils and cats and.
That's only for sexual preferences.
Yeah.
Is that like a Richard Gere thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The
I mean,
PVC too?
supposedly, I mean, who knows?
Richard, if we don't know. If
Yeah,
you're
we
watching
don't
this,
know.
Don't
I don't.
sue us.
Yeah, I've always pictured that rumor as like somebody who just thought he was like a piece of shit, and they were like, "Yeah, that guy sticks gerbils into that," and it just ran with it.
This is
They
like
were
his number
yeah.
one hater, dude.
Yeah, yeah. It was like I don't. Do you guys watch any comedy at all? Do you watch Tom Segura?
Oh, I love Tom Segura.
He has that bit about his dad saying that Tommy Lee Jones was gay for like 30 years. He was like, so for every person that I ever ran across from fucking The Fugitive to No Country for Old Men, I told him Tommy Lee Jones was gay. And then he was like, until I got like up in the realm of Hollywood and stuff. And he's like, I was interacting with somebody who knew him. And he was like, yeah, did you know that guy's gay? And he was like, no.
Maybe. Either way.
He's like, no, he's not gay. He's like, who told you that? He's like, my dad. He's like, yeah, my dad just said.
You didn't fact check that? You got Google now.
He was like, no. He was like, no, he's not. He was like, so he called his dad. He goes, hey, Dad, why did you tell me Tommy Lee Jones was gay? And he goes, I don't know. I just thought he was.
That's fun stuff to do, though. Just to like say shit.
Yeah, just to say stuff and see what
Just
takes
see what
on.
sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Two Addicts and a Moron. And today we have a special guest, following up on the very last guest that we had, the fiance of the young lady that was here last week.
It's my love.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cesar is in the house. What's up, dude?
Nice to meet y'all.
Hey. Hey, he is so nervous right now.
Yeah.
You feel the tension?
Yeah.
You feel
I'm
it?
always quiet. Honestly, this is kind of how I always am.
I know, dude. Well, we're just gonna be in here chopping it up, man.
All
But
right.
you have maybe not such a story. I mean, I'm sure you have a story, but I think the perspective that you bring, not only as being the fiance and a normie of someone who's in recovery, but you worked in recovery and you work in mental health and you work. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that can bridge to what we do here.
For sure.
And after our last podcast, we sat around and talked a lot about mental health. You know, that seems to be a hot topic. We brought it up on here a few times, you know, with men having the thing where it's like, dude, you just got to bottle that shit up.
Yeah.
You feel something, get rid of it.
Shut that shit down.
Yeah, shut it off. And, you know, not the most healthy thing, and probably why society is a little bit of the way that it is right now is for that, you know? So, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Like what's your background in this?
You know, have like everyone, you know, have my own struggles with, you know, mental health stuff. Thankfully, I'm in a great place now. You know, I've always had a great support system, really loving family. So all, you know, checks all the boxes. Someone, you know, you wouldn't think that someone like that, you know, why are you so depressed, or why do you have anything like that going on in your life? You have, you know, you're all things good, all things on the up. But I think a lot of that came from just like comparing myself to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, well, I mean, I feel like this, I feel really bad. And then I felt bad that I was feeling bad. That makes sense.
No,
right?
100%. Dude.
And, you know, I have a, you know, awesome older brother. And he always, you know, me and my sister call him the golden child, but like, can do no wrong. But really, like, he's an amazing role model for me. And I always compared myself to him.
Right.
And so I always felt like I wasn't measuring up.
Coming up short.
And I was like, man, I'm never going to be as good as him. And so, like, there's a lot of negative self-talk from a very early age. You know, I have a twin brother, fraternal twins. So we don't look alike, but he's special needs. Never really diagnosed with anything from a doctor, but that made me, you know, that's something I've had my whole life, you know, knowing how my brother is. It was just very heavy. And I think that took a toll on me. I did go to therapy at one point, and they said I had like survivor's guilt, you know, like I'm living my life normal, right?
Yeah.
And then he has a lot of things that he's not going to experience.
Right.
So I think a lot of that really just weighed on me, and I had a lot of stuff like that. You know, as guys, I think we always put ourselves like in a position where like I have to do this, like
Right.
I have to be the one pushing things forward, and I can't falter, I can't fall, I can't let people see that I'm weak or whatever.
I got to be the strong one.
And so you put enough weight on your shoulders, you're gonna fucking crumble.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of that was. But as I like tried to get better on my own, you know, go into therapy, listening to music, or, you know, just people that are trying to be positive, trying to reframe my mind into, you know, getting out of that negative way of thinking, made me want to do something that helped others. And so that's what pushed me into like working in the mental health field.
So what do you do in the mental health field specifically?
So at the time I was just, I was working at a treatment center, for, you know, substance abuse, mental health,
Men, women?
yeah, men, women. It was you know, residential treatment center, nice, you know, lots of land out there, you know, like 70 something acres of land, not locked down facility, very, laid back. And I was just working as a tech,
Yeah.
worked my way up into like a, you know, a shift lead position over there. And it was just, you know, boots on the ground kind of thing, right? Like, trying to help people get through their, you know, worst days of their life while they're in treatment for, you know, 90 plus days or whatever.
Were you a tech at first?
Yeah.
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 So when I went to rehab, like I always say, the techs there fucking like got me through the days. And we had different techs, and every single one of the techs helped me in some kind of way, because my first week was a fucking cry fest.
Yeah.
Like not being able to see my daughter, not being able to talk to my daughter, being away from my daughter, and I'm coming off of drugs for 10 years. And they really they got it. They understood. And so, yeah, I think techs and rehabs are so vital to rehabs. And there's something to be said whenever, like, sometimes they wouldn't even talk. They would just listen and just listen to me cry.
Yeah.
Or fucking, you know, and just say, hey, it's going to get better. It's going to get better.
I found that like in my time working there, that sometimes people just need to get that shit out. And, you know, like you said earlier, right? Like as especially as men, we're told to like push it down and don't let that shit bubble up. And when you're trying to like work through some stuff, you need to process it, and you can't process it if you're shoving it down. You got to, and the problem with that is, you know, why in treatment, it's a good thing to, at least you're there because you're able to be in a safe environment. where you're able to let that shit in, like, kind of explode out, and you're able to process that with your peers, with the techs, with your therapists, anyone else you come in contact with. Then you're able to work through it so that it doesn't happen again, or you're able to mitigate it from happening to such a large extent where you're going out to self-medicating or finding whatever is to make you not feel that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the substance abuse starts to happen, right? When you're left to your own devices.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know how to fucking deal with this shit. I'm going to move to this drug or whatever. But just a kind of a side note, because I'm a normie in the recovery world.
Yeah.
Right. What's that like being like working in rehab as a tech, a boots on the ground guy?
Yeah.
And you got to probably develop a little bit of credibility because you don't do the substance or you don't have the issues that they had with the substance, right? Like,
Yeah.
Was that difficult for you to kind of overcome?
Coming in, I think that was the hardest thing for me to develop the credibility aspect, right? Like, because I struggled with my own like mental stuff, I was able to, relate on that level, but I've never picked up a drug or alcohol. I've never smoked. I've never done anything. And so
Ever?
Never, no.
Wow.
And so it scared me, but like, but not even beforehand, right? Like when I worked with, I used to work with kids, and I'm working with kids now. But
Even like in high school and shit, you never did anything.
no, I was I was always the DD, or I would just hang out at my house by myself.
Yeah.
So you got the X's on the hands, dude.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
like-
very much. I identify like with the straight edge movement and stuff like that. And so, but my credibility was non-existent with drugs and alcohol. But because I had my own struggles with mental health stuff and depression, anxiety, I was able to talk to the clients and be like, well, like I have that. I understand where you're coming from, feeling that negativity. Obviously, they had a lot of trauma as well.
Right.
But I was able to be like, I didn't do this, and this is what I did instead.
Right.
I identified with music. I threw myself into hobbies was what I did. And so I would try to, what do you like to do outside of drugs?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, well, I like going to shows. It's like, fucking go to shows, go to the movies, do stuff with people you love. That's where I was able to connect with them. And then me being able to empathize with everything, that's where they were like, okay, like this guy's legit. He's not just
because he hadn't done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he doesn't. I mean, I think that's what you're kind of saying is it's not really about what you've done. It's about the effort that you're willing to give someone.
Yeah. Like, we always said, like, you meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
And I would come in and I would see, whether it was someone that was, 18 years old or someone that was 65 years old, be like, what life experience have you had that has put you into this position to be in this building? And then just talked, listened. And that's what built my credibility with the clients. Because then after I started, new, clients, come in and out, people would be able to be like, oh yeah, he's good. Like he's going to listen to you. He's going to help you out. And then, so it just snowballed effect into helping everyone else see that I'm here for y'all. I'm not here for some paycheck that, anyone that works in recovery knows you're not making shit for money.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you told me that you've bridged into working with autism and autistic children, right? So I have a theory about autism. I think we probably all have a little bit of it.
Oh yeah, it's a spectrum.
It's like it's a spectrum for a reason. If we weren't on it somewhere, it's not a spectrum, right? So, we've had a few people come in here and say that they were diagnosed autistic as adults. Going through the recovery system. I work with a lady, same thing. She was having she was going to therapy and trying to figure stuff out on her own, and they were like, "You're autistic. Like you have autism. You know." Are you working with adults in this too? Or
No, it's purely early intervention, working with kids like 18 months to like 9 years old, 10 years old.
Okay. Man, what a
You work at behavior management, or where do you work?
I work for a place called Action Behavior Centers.
Okay.
Okay.
That's where Destiny worked there.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, she worked at the one there's one like 4 minutes from here.
Mm-hmm. They got places popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's working with a lot of kids, and it's quite a change of pace from going from working in a treatment center where sometimes you could be running around the property, looking
Right.
for someone, or
Yeah.
like, are you just listening to someone talk about their day, or telling you their life story, and then you go in. I leave there, and now I'm working with kids that they just don't. It's very similar in the sense like when you go to a treatment center, they don't have a lot of the skills to like cope with their stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you go, when you're working with these kids, they don't know how to articulate what they're feeling, why they're upset, why they lash out,
Or verbalize it. Like
yeah, in some cases they can't. They're nonverbal, and so
Yeah.
then I think that's also goes into like why those other behaviors happen, because they can't explain. They're not able to communicate, and so they're just like
Yeah, dude. It's like I've always said this, but it's like I sympathize with babies a lot. Like I'm talking like little tiny babies, because if you think about it, they don't know how to communicate.
Yeah, I think that's why
Right?
they're
They're
crying.
like, and I think about this. I'm like, I know it sucks when my leg is asleep. Like that sucks. It fucking hurts. But I can like tell you, yeah, why you limping, dude? My fucking leg
fell asleep,
hurts.
man.
A baby can't do that shit. Like the only thing they could do is be like, man, and you're
like,
like,
give me
I
your
fed
fucking
you.
bottle,
I
man.
fucking changed your diaper. I did everything. And they're like, my fucking arm hurts. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but it's just going on in their head. So I mean, for that, it feels like a little bit of the same, right?
Yeah.
They don't know how to get it out of them. And how do you go about trying to pull that out?
A lot of times, really, it's just you're kind of just watching them and seeing what they're trying to do. Some things like pointing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, like the kids there'll be something on the fridge that they want, right? And you walk them over there, and you're like, "Are you hungry?" You just kind of grab stuff. You're like, "Is this you want this? You want this? You want this?" And then they'll scream at you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. And so I'll pick them up if I can, if they're of age that can pick them up. We can't pick them up after they're like 5.
Yeah.
But do you want this? And then eventually you'll get to
What
the
they
thing
want.
they want, and then gravy. They're all chilling.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like if I spoke a different language than what you did,
Yeah.
like how are we going to communicate, right? There's
yeah,
a lot of fucking pointing and a lot of hand
Just
gestures and shit.
yeah. You're like, I don't know what the fuck you're
Yeah,
talking about.
it
dude.
doesn't matter what you're telling me. I don't fucking know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But is it this? Is it this? Is it this? I got a theory. So when I was growing up, so I'm 45. You're my age.
Yeah.
How old are you?
28.
Okay. So when we were growing up, there was no such thing as autism, right? Maybe there was.
There was, but it
But
wasn't
was
talked about as much.
You were either special ed or you were like and when I went to school, they had special ed classes and then they had everybody else, right? Now there were some classes that we called resource where like you wasn't as quick learning,
Yeah.
but you wasn't on any kind of spectrum back then, right?
Yeah.
It was special ed and there was everybody else. I have a theory, and I know that this is like a big theory for a lot of people, that the medications and stuff that the vaccines that they have us do
Sure.
changes people at a very young age. And I believe, and I've talked to a lot of parents who have kids that are autistic that say, my kid was never autistic at 1 and 2 and 3 years old, but whenever they started getting these vaccines and shots, they became autistic in some kind of way.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like you're like,
I know it's a conspiracy theory. It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a hot topic.
it's some stuff that people would have to definitely do some research into,
Yeah.
and like actually have like, I think the hard thing with that is like you have to have a like what's your control demographic and then what's your which the one you're actually testing.
Because I don't remember any kids when I was growing up that was nonverbal, right? Like if you were in the classes that we were in, there was no such thing as nonverbal,
Yeah.
right? And I remember the kids that were special ed, like they were not just nonverbal, they needed more help than anybody did,
Yeah.
right? So I didn't grow up with anybody like that. But now it seems like damn near every kid has some kind of autism or autistic or something, right? Like we had ADHD.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm a big believer that everybody has some kind of ADD, right? But we just didn't have that growing up. So when I hear it now, I'm like, man, there's something that changed.
I think for me, at least, I think that's, I don't know what the term for it is, but it's like, it's going to be a really weird example, but like, like when you may have never seen like a certain car, but then you get that car and now you start seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is like, we have everybody in one or two boxes,
Right.
like you had back then, right? You're either special ed or you're, normal.
Right.
And when people started doing more research, like, oh, well, like there's other, categories people could be in, right? Someone's autistic, they have, it was like Asperger's syndrome, which I think is now just part of the autism spectrum. But back then, you had that, and so you're put in one or two boxes. It's harder to see that, and you just lump everybody together. And then as labels came out, and you're able to categorize people differently.
Well, and you
then
start
it
getting
becomes like that.
advocation too.
Yeah,
Like over time, it's the same thing with drug addiction. Like so taboo when I was a kid, like don't do drugs and all that, and that's what, but now as time is ticking on, it's like there's this bigger, there subgenres of it. And it's just like anything else, man. Every human being is completely different. And that's why, like, I was not a good student at all. Like I wanted to make everybody laugh in class, but there were subjects that I was in, like I aced history,
Yeah.
Me too.
because I was just into it. Like but
it's like a story, man.
but then like as I got later, I was like, of course, like everybody learns different, and everybody learns. Like, of course, you're going to be ADHD in math if you don't give a shit about the numbers
Yeah.
that are in front of you, right? Of course, you're going to fail history if you don't give a fuck about George Washington.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't give it, like, everybody is going to be on the spectrum of learning, man. That's why I think there needs to be different, like, educational, like, formats for, and I know that'd be insanely hard to do.
I think there's definitely ways to do that, because I'm someone that thinks like that, where, if I think there's a quote by like Einstein back in the day where he was like, if you look at everybody the same way like that, and you put them in a certain, like you put them in a box, right? Like you take a fish, you told it to climb a tree, and you can't. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? That's kind of, I don't know the quote exactly, but it was something like that. But if you were to take kids and put them in like what they excel at, then they would be much better off. Because I hate math.
Yeah.
I suck at it. I don't care how simple the math equation is. Someone can be like, hey, what's 50 minus 12? I'm like, 5. I don't know. I'm not a math magician.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, dude.
Caroline hates when I say that. But I know it's mathematician, but it's more whimsical to say math magician.
Yeah, dude. It's like it's like I could not, and I still don't to this day as an adult now. I was absolutely right as a child. I was like, why the fuck do I need to know long division?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to know that for every day. Like, I need to know percentages, some smaller division, some smaller multiplication, but I don't need to know like long
like
fucking
a million
form
divided by
algebra and
12
shit. I don't need to know that shit. I'm not making rockets and sending them to the moon. That's not going to be my gig, right? That kid might, but
if I had it my way, what I think would be a really cool way to get kids to be the people they're meant to be in the career paths they're meant to be on, would be to like you have to take an aptitude test like every few years to see where you're going. IQ test kind of thing. Like, okay, like, you know, can they think critically about this? And then you put them kind of on a path that they're supposed to be, that's good for them, something that they can be happy with to do, but something that's necessary for all of us to have in society.
Right. So as far as you getting involved with someone who's in recovery, kind of long-term recovery too, and damn sure long-term addiction.
Yeah.
You know, what has that been like for you? I mean, I've seen people, women that come in here and sit down and they have these thriving relationships and stuff. And it's like the first thing that comes to my mind is like how strong a man needs to be with that woman or a partner. Sure. Woman be with the woman or whatever the case, right? But it's like there's such a past there. And again, you know, being macho or being like, it's like, man, I don't know if I can be. And then you try and flex upon the relationship. It can be very, very easy to do as well. So what has that been like for you? Just curious about that with being with someone that's in long-term addiction and recovery.
I think where I goes back to like working in treatment is, and comparing myself to the people that are in treatment or in recovery is, man, if someone judged me based off of my past mistakes, decisions, then I wouldn't want to, you know, be around them.
Yeah.
And so for like her, I know who she is now.
Yeah.
I wasn't there during all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I can empathize because I know she went through a lot of stuff, had, you know, maybe not the best support system, you know, didn't have anything really to grab onto when a lot of her what spiraled her into that that world. But I know who she is now. I know what she represents as a person. And that's what I hold on to. And so everything else, she's worked through it. She's one of the strongest people I've ever known. And so for her, I have anybody that's in recovery, I have so much admiration for, because I look at, and you have that past that you had to like get through, get over it, process all of that, and move on as much as you can, because you still carry that stuff with you.
Right.
But you have that. You have your personal life, your family life. You have work, and then if you work a program, you have all of that you have to do. You got to go to meetings. You got a sponsee. You got your sponsor. All that stuff. I was like, that is so much stuff, and it's so overwhelming. I'm like, I don't know how y'all do it. And so it's incredibly rewarding for, you know, me as a partner to see her, like just like in hindsight, just to look at, I was like, everything that you've been through to do that, to be where you are now, I couldn't be prouder. And so me being, you know, a normie and being with someone that is in long-term recovery, has had, you know, a lot of, you know, substance abuse at that point. I'm just here to see where you are now.
Yeah.
And continue to move forward. We can look in the back, you know, look in the mirror to like see where we've been, but we don't have to stare at it.
Yeah, I've always wondered that. And by the way, I'm going to correct you. Being a straight edge dude your whole life and never having a drink of alcohol or drugs, you were anything but a fucking normie dude.
yeah. I know that for sure.
Yeah, you are an outlier, bro. Like you are not a normie. Like you are.
I used to say that at the treatment center. You know, people would be like, "You're a normie," and I was like, "Dude, I've never even picked up anything but like, you know, my headphones or some shit." You know,
and they're always like, "How?"
Yeah, and they're like, "How?" And I was like, "Dude, because I'm out of there. I'm weird in that sense." Because, and don't get me wrong, like being straight edge and like having that, it's not always easy. It doesn't come without temptation. You know, I have friends that, you know, that their whole purpose when they go out and they want to drink, they're trying to get fucked up.
Yeah, they're trying to get obliterated.
You know, they don't want to remember the night. They're like, I'm trying to get blacked out. I was like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to remember tonight? you know, we're having an awesome night. And then, then I'm a downer because they're like, oh, you got fucking serious.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's serious if you go home and you're fucked up and then you cause an accident that loses you or anyone else's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think it's so important. What you said was like, you know where she's at now. That's something that my fiance struggled with me. She's like it took her forever to get her on the podcast. And then she didn't want to like put her fit. Like she sings really well. She plays piano and guitar. She makes all her own music. She doesn't ever want to be in front of a camera because, well, what if somebody recognizes me or say something from my past or this or that? And I'm like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like that's not who you are now. And that's really not who you were then. That's just who you were pretending to be, right?
Yeah.
Because you didn't have a good support system or because you grew up in a fucked up way or you didn't have role models that would sit there and say, hey, that's not the way that we conduct ourselves,
Yeah.
you know? And you were on drugs like that. Not that that's an excuse, but
That's not you.
yeah, that's let's be honest. That's not, you don't make the greatest decisions whenever when you're using. So I think that's very important, especially like when someone's in recovery, that you meet them where they are now rather than, you know, you can't judge them for who they were because that's really not who the fuck they were.
Yeah.
Like I've always said, like most people that are addicts that I've met in recovery are some of the best people you'll ever meet. Just when we're using, we make some of the fucking worst decisions, and we're some of the most selfish people that you can find.
Yeah, dude. But I think, I mean, I look at it, I got to see you on both ends of that spectrum, right? Like I got to witness that. And I loved you from the moment I met you, right?
Most men do.
Yeah, you have that effect. But the deal is like, you can, these people are that person, you know,
Yeah.
on the other end of it, even when they're in it. I hope I'm making sense when I say that. It's like, you can still tell the soul of a person.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a piece of shit person,
You're gonna be a piece of shit no matter what.
You're a piece of shit on drugs, or you're gonna be a piece of shit on the other end of that, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not, then you're not, you know, and that goes for both sides. It's just like there's some shit that has to be worked through on that side of things to get them to that side of things. And so I think it's real interesting. Like I think it's super interesting to me that you are a complete straight edge guy that was working in recovery for a long time and ended up, you know, and we have this in common. It was like for me to like find my place or the people that I connect with the most, like I had to start hanging out with a bunch of former drug addicts. Right.
Well, I think what I've loved about working when I've worked in recovery and meeting people in recovery is they are who they are. They're unapologetic about who they are. They wear their mistakes in their past with pride because they're like, I went from that to where I am now.
Yeah.
And they're just so much nicer.
Yeah.
Because they have a real like respect for where they are now because they're like, I was, you know,
and what they're capable of.
Yeah, what they're capable of. And like, you know, I have friends and I'm like, dude, you don't know right from wrong. And it's really weird.
Yeah.
And like, because people in recovery, they've worked on themselves and like, you know, Caroline's helped me kind of see past my own little veil of like myself. Cause I was like, oh, like I look at myself in a certain light and I don't recognize my shortcomings sometimes. And because she's worked on herself, she knows what she needs to work on, you know, character defects or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she's able to point out my shit, which is really refreshing because no one has ever really done that for me.
Or taken a chance or taken an opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm
that
like,
can speak to it
yeah,
intelligently and stuff.
Yeah, like actually like make me see it without me being like, no, you're full of shit, you know?
Yeah.
And that's refreshing. I still need to work on a lot of that stuff because it's like sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other because I'm like, I hear what you said, but I don't understand. And then, you know, I'm a little bit of a sensitive guy.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
And
And sometimes that gets offensive too. You're like, what do you mean hurt my feelings?
Yeah.
Like I'm
I
a
think,
fucking dude.
yeah, I've said that before too. I think where I was like, yes, I'm sensitive, but if you don't tell me anything, then I'm not gonna fucking learn. I'm not gonna realize that I'm gonna continue to do the same thing. And sure, sometimes even when she tells me, I still do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm,
it's burned in. It's burned in. Like you are who you are, man.
Yeah.
Like breaking those cycles or habits.
That's the one thing I wish, like, not that I wish I had, but when you're coming into recovery, you're able to kind of be like, oh, like that was me on drugs.
Yeah.
I don't have that crutch.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fucking me.
Yeah.
For me being a dumbass and like just like not knowing where I fucked up, where I've been an asshole. That's just pure me being blind.
Yeah.
Ignorance.
Yeah.
And ignorance is bliss because I've lived like this for 28 years without knowing where my shortcomings have been. And for her to be able to, pinpoint, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what sucks is we have a mutual friend that watches the podcast, Ramon, and he was
Shout out
my
Ramon.
supervisor, and he had fired me 4 different times.
He's coming on pretty soon
He
too.
is.
Yeah, we're gonna get him on.
So
Sounds like a cool dude.
Yeah.
I used to always use that same excuse. Well, fucking, I'm on drugs, I'm fucking high or whatever. Well, when I got sober, he caught me in a lie at work, and he's like, "See, it was never the fucking drugs. It's you. Like it's you." And I couldn't use that excuse anymore because I was like, well, fucking, So, yeah, I definitely used to always use that as a crutch. Like, well, I was high. But even when I was high, I always knew the right from wrong shit. Mm-hmm. But I never looked at the consequences, I think, more than anything. Like, I'm going to do this, and it's going to work. Like, I'm not going to get caught. Like when I used to drive my daughter around and hide dope in her car seat, like I would never do that now.
Yeah.
Right. And when I was doing that at the time, I knew like this is fucked up, but I'm also sick and I need to get dope from point A to point B. And if we get pulled over, surely they won't check her car seat. Like that was my thinking.
Yeah.
Right. I could justify anything that I did. But now being sober, like when I hear other people do that, and other people are like, I can't believe they would fucking do that. I actually am kind of like, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Even though I know it's not right, I kind of get it because I've done it before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're able to put yourself like, if that were me,
Yeah.
I can see how that
Yeah.
happened.
Like when we went and picked somebody up, I won't say the name on here. We went and picked somebody up, me and Destiny did, and we drove them somewhere and we got pulled over and they had dope on them. Like I'm 2 years sober. Destiny's a year sober. And this person got in our car knowing we're literally driving to a restaurant and coming home, right? And at first I was pissed because when the cop got me out, I'm like, look, I'm sober. I mean, look, I'm going to fucking rat on somebody right now quick because I ain't getting in trouble for your ass. Fucking call me a snitch if you want to. But he's like, I smell weed in the car. I said, it's not me. It's not me and it's not her. I don't know who it is, but it's not us.
Yeah.
And then
There's 3 of us.
there's 3 of us. It's not me.
fly switching out.
It's not her. I promise you.
You're like,
And I'm telling him like I'm in recovery, and he's like, all right, well, so he gets everybody out, he checks everybody, and sure enough, the person that we had with us had something on him. And of course, she's like, someone put it there. It's not mine, right? Same shit I would have said too. And I couldn't even be mad at the person. At first, I was thinking like, what the fuck would you bring that in the car with us? But then I had to remind myself, like when I was sick, I was bringing my shit no matter where I was going.
Yeah.
Like it didn't matter who I was with, but my pipe was coming with me, and I'm gonna have a bag of dope on me too, and I'm gonna have my torch somewhere with me too, because I can't even if it's going to a restaurant. So I could not justify, but I could see I couldn't even be mad at him.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, like the thinking that we do whenever we're in that, like it's thinking that I would never do now, but I get it. I understand it because I've been there.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
For sure.
so said you're a music guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you listen to?
Oh, right now I'm like really big on Sleep Token.
Okay. All right. All right.
But I listen to anything, man. I can go from like mayhem, like black metal stuff,
Yeah.
to classical music. Some, throw on some Disney. I don't care.
Yeah. I had the
Fuck his
suspicion.
Sleep Token.
Dude, you need dude.
Put on some Sleep Token.
Put on
when
some
you get
Sleep
out of
Really?
Token. Oh, dude. Listen to Chokehold.
here. That's a banger.
So have you seen the guy from another band singing Chokehold? I forget the name of the band. It's on YouTube. If you put on Chokehold cover, you'll know the band because you listen to that. It's the same.
I've heard, who actually did a cover of, I don't know if it was them or Bad Omens that he did a cover of, but Chris Daughtry did he did a cover of.
That dude can sing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's like an OG from American Idol.
Yeah,
but
dude, that guy can sing the fucking
I've seen him
phone
live.
book.
he's got some pipes, dude.
Yeah. Chokehold cover. Check it out whenever you're done.
Get out of here.
It's fucking crazy because it almost when that song comes on, you almost have like an R&B feel to it, where it's like you're like, what the fuck is this? And then it breaks into kind of hard guitars.
I'll hype up Sleep Token like no tomorrow because they are just genre benders. Like they'll go from, like you said, like an R&B kind of sounding song. They'll have like some soul in it. They'll have some like post-hardcore kind of things going in there, and then they'll have straight up real guttural screaming.
Yeah.
And you're like, this dude's got so much range.
Yeah.
Vessel, shout out Vessel.
When you were saying that you were straight edge, that term is like,
Oh, you got like Minor Threat.
it's like, it's like punk rock. It's like a punk rock thing. I grew up listening to a lot of punk rock and a lot of metal. For
sure.
I had the suspicion, not because of the way you look.
I feel like I'm looking based off how you look. I feel like you listen to like Gorilla Biscuits or someone like that. I feel like you listen to them.
Yeah. No,
Biscuits?
I have the wildest like playlist. My girlfriend can't stand it because it'll go from the Temptations to Slayer. Like if I'm just playing random stuff.
Have you heard the term for that?
Yeah.
It's polyamorous.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I have no clue
Polyamorous.
what you were talking about.
Yeah.
I still listen to
We have a
Stained.
thing, man. Like,
I still listen to Stained.
Stained is
Three
fucking
Doors
great
Down.
too.
Okay.
Like
I've never after that group of rock, I never moved into the newer people.
yeah,
I stayed with
Caroline.
Linkin Park and all that shit.
yeah.
Caroline. Well, I'll give shout out to Nickelback too, because like Nickelback
Nickelback's
gets,
the
they
best
get
band
so
I've
much,
ever seen
They get
in
so much
concert.
hate.
Bro, did you see their documentary?
No, they have a documentary.
There's a documentary on
yeah.
Netflix about
really good.
About fucking Nickelback.
Yeah.
And I was of that mindset before that documentary, like, it's fucking bullshit, band, or whatever, But the documentary is basically like, I mean, it's addressing them coming up together, like young kids in Canada and all of that. But it directly addresses that.
that they got
Why
all
the
this hate.
fuck are we hated? Like, why are
Yeah.
we hated so much? And them kind of leaning into it. And they're like, yeah, I mean, obviously there's, we fill up arenas still today. Like
hate us.
people don't not like
Have you
us.
ever seen them in concert?
No.
Have you?
Yes.
It's the best band I've ever seen in concert.
Okay.
And the first time that I went, and I've seen probably 500 bands in concert, because sometimes they have 3 or 4 different bands that come on. I went to watch Trapped. Remember Trapped?
Yeah.
Went to watch Headstrong. That was the only song.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's the only song I know.
Only
from
song I
them.
knew.
That was the only song
But
they have.
they
basically.
were playing in San Antonio, and they were opening for Nickelback. Nickelback was, and I was like, once Trap gets on, we can leave after
can
they
bounce.
do Headstrong. I don't care. But the couple that we went with, they were there for Nickelback, so we had to stay.
Yeah.
And dude, that was the best concert I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit! Like they put on a banger, and then I went and seen them like 2 or 3 times after that. But yeah, they were great. I haven't seen the documentary, but I heard it's phenomenal.
It's fucking
But I heard
great.
for some reason
It's
they were just
great.
hated.
They got hate because they were successful, like, and I think
Dude, Chad Kroger he sounds just like
sounds like same way live.
same fucking way.
That's how I judge bands. If you can sound at least comparable to how you sound on the record, then you're good.
That's
We just
everything.
Went,
to
we just
me.
went and watched Linkin Park, and they got the girl.
They got the-
that's
yeah.
fucking great. She sounds really good.
I was real hesitant to give them any
too.
props because I was like, Chester was like irreplaceable is what I felt
Yeah.
like, and
And he still is.
still is.
I mean, he still is.
it's a different
like-
chapter of the band. But
Yeah, that's one of those things that Chester will never be replaced to me. Like, I love Linkin Park too.
Can you imagine how much pressure she had replacing him?
Oh yeah.
Or
Like,
like-
she doesn't get enough credit for taking that on either.
No, I mean, like, dude, if
She took a bunch of shit.
you,
But he still does,
If you
like,
can
from
go
his family
watch
and
them
stuff.
live, she is one of the best performers that I've seen. Like getting the crowd hyped up,
Okay.
and getting like involved with the crowd. She's fucking great, and her vocal range is fucking stupid. Like Destiny sings really well, and Destiny was in awe of her. She's like, man, she can hit everything.
I think
Really
the pressure from the band members too. Like,
I'm sure.
Like that's a task.
I wonder
man.
if they had resentment towards him too, though.
Towards
You know what I
Chester?
mean? Yes.
I'm sure, because I was like, I mean,
Well, that's mental health, right?
I mean, it ties
like-
back into that. You know, like him and like,
In a selfish way, right?
yeah.
Like I know my own personal feelings. I would have resentment towards someone because I'm selfish. Like, one, why didn't you come to us, right, and say, hey, this is what I'm going through, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But then two, you literally, my selfishness would be like, man, you could have ruined everything for us, right? Not, and it's because
It's like, you know, it's transference, because, you know, whatever someone was going through, they obviously felt strong enough that they took their own life.
that they had to take it.
But that is now transferred to their loved ones, you know, like Chester Benson, he had his kids, you know,
Followed all the way down.
and it's just going to trickle down. And that's other trauma that it might not be the same magnitude, but it's like you splinter it off and pass it down to everyone that, you know, you touched in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. Well, I didn't see it, but I saw like a YouTube video or something. Whenever the young, I don't know what her name is, but whoever took over for Chester, his wife, his widow, had some feelings.
I know she was like,
she did
can't
not
believe it.
like it. Probably still doesn't, and that makes all the sense in the world to me though, because like what I just said, like Chester is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
To her, that's her
my world,
husband.
yeah.
That's her world. Like that is to her even more than every fan out there. I don't care who it is. Like that was his thing. But
Emily Armstrong's her name.
with I always like when he died, it was like shocking. And then you go when something like that happens, you inevitably go back to like listen to
Listen to
their
everything.
catalog a little bit, and then you're listening to the lyrics. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
kind of like mapping it out. Like
Yeah.
he's really just fucking telling you that this
Yeah,
was
like
always
that song One More Light.
Yeah.
Is the one that I'm always like, oh my God. Like I remember when he passed away, that was one, because I hadn't listened to that album.
Yeah.
And so because they were like, that's the more poppy album that
Yeah.
they kind of did. So I was like, I don't really want to listen to it. And then after he passed, I went back and listened to it, and I was like bawling my eyes out in the car, because I was like, this is so sad. Like he, like you said, right? He like mapped it out. He told everybody. He told the
from
whole world.
the beginning. Like I mean, you go back and listen to the very first album
Yeah.
they had, and there's shit on there. You're like, whoa!
It had so much
Like
he had.
and thank God he had that. We probably would have lost him a lot sooner if he didn't have that outlet, because
Yeah.
he was just telling you though.
Well, that's the thing is a lot of people always think like depression, right? That's only for sad people that don't have things in their life. And you see these actors and actresses all the time that fucking take their own life, or
Shit gets lonelier, dude.
yeah, shit gets lonely. And I'm sure
But
like
lonelier when
it's-
you reach the top like that.
not only that, you got to really be able to justify like who are your people, really, like who are your real friends, and who aren't. You know what I mean? I mean, when you have all that money, you got a lot of fucking friends.
Yeah.
And
Everybody's
when that
looking
money's gone, like Mike Tyson used to say, when the money goes, so do the hoes.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to really justify like who's really in my corner.
Well, that's what you think about. Like, I think about like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into like men's mental health in particular. But I think of like sports, right? Like you have like CTE stuff. There's a lot of athletes, musicians that, even the CTE stuff aside, but like they go from like this incredible high of being in front of thousands of people performing or playing the sport they love, and then when they got to hang it up, you lose all of that. Where are you going to get that rush again? And so then I think that is where they get that come down, and they're like they're in a lull. That's where their depression comes in.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
I'm not
not
who
all-
I used to be.
That and like who are you now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just lost your whole identity.
Kobe Bryant used to talk about that a lot. Like he was setting his career up to where he was gonna. I thought he was gonna do.
Dude, his second chapter was going to be.
It was gonna be bigger than the first.
I think so.
Which is almost impossible.
Yeah.
But it was, and that's what he used to always talk about. Is like when athletes hang it up, what are you gonna go to next, right? And you see a lot of with singers, actors. I mean, with anything like that second part in their life is always not always. But a lot of times it's real sad, depressing, like it's just a downshift.
Yeah.
Because they've been the center of attention for so fucking long. And then all of a sudden, you're not playing sports anymore. You're not going out and winning anymore. Like your whole identity changes in a lot of ways.
I mean, even to entertainer or music, right? Like, you're one hit away from the top, right? And then that hit burns out. Mm-hmm. And you can't make another one. That's you talk about like peak and valley, right? Like I mean, it's really important to like. My son plays baseball. He plays football. I hate that he plays football because of the CTE shit. But I had to let him do it, and I because I want him to do other things besides just playing baseball. I want him to have try and find other shit that he enjoys doing outside of it for that reason.
Yeah.
And I tell him all the time, man, it's like, don't ride the highs too high or the lows too low, man.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to, don't trust it when you're up there.
Yeah.
Don't trust it. And don't trust it when you're down there either. It's a lot easier to work your way up to the middle or work your way down to the middle than it is, if you don't establish that middle.
Yeah.
If you don't have that middle ground of where you know that you're good and everything's fine, and even in the middle, dude, it's gonna do that. But if you can mitigate the fucking peak and valley, right, and just make it a little bit more of a little hilly.
That's why I think like there's the quote that this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people really think about that quote when they're like in the trenches or something. That's something you got to keep on when things are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
that's true.
That's
This
just gonna
too.
go. That's just gonna
That
go away
goodness
too.
is gonna go away too.
This
And
too
then-
shall pass, man.
So you got to be able to know all as good as things can get, that's gonna go away at some point. As shitty as things can get, that's gonna pass too. So you got to find that middle ground where you're able to be content.
It's really true. I never thought about that. Like this too shall pass. I only ever thought about that when shit's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not when shit's good, right?
Yeah.
This is going to go away too. It's like we've all met people like when they talk about their life, you've met those people before where like high school was the highlight of their whole entire life. And I used to hear that from people and I used to think there is no way that I'm going to fucking talk about high school when I'm 30 or 40 years old. Like those are the best days of my life. Like I want my life to continue to go. Now, I was a drug addict for 10 years.
Right.
But I wouldn't change that either.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, things done right. I mean, high school's fun, man. It should be fun. It should be. It isn't all the time, but it should be. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody looking back. I mean, dude, when you were 16, 17, you have like no real responsibilities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that should be taken advantage of in the best of way.
Live your life. That's the only thing I wish I could have done when I was like looking back now, like I think like a lot of kids now, high school it's daunting because of the social aspect of things. It's not it's not the school, going to class, sure, some people struggle with their schoolwork and stuff, but it's the going in, how do I fit in? If I remember the first time I went to like a new school and being like, oh, I'm not gonna know anybody. Like, and that doesn't hit you until you hit the lunchroom for lunch, and you're like,
Right.
I don't know who I'm gonna sit with, and then you feel, you come back into yourself.
Yeah.
It's like in Mean Girls when Lindsay Lohan goes and
Fuck
eats in
yeah,
her
dude.
fucking stall, but that shit's real, and you should be able to like just focus on being a kid. You know, no responsibilities.
My favorite movie is Mean Girls, by the way.
Is it?
in that high school environment too, and I know my son probably doesn't do it because of the social aspect of it, but I've always told him, I'm like, man, you're an athlete, you're a dude, and you know, you're a guy. I was like, you have more in common with the fucking dude sitting over there by himself that's dressed in goth gear.
Yeah.
You know, I guarantee you have shit in common with that guy.
Yeah.
Maybe more in common with that guy than your bros on the baseball team.
More than you think.
More than you would think. I tell him and his friends all the time that gather around me, I'm like, take some time and go talk to that fucking person. And don't look at them like they're some kind of fucking outcast, because I promise you they're not. Like they're only that way because of a confidence thing.
Well, either that or
confidence thing,
something
or
that happened in their life.
You know,
Right.
sometimes, you know, like it's how they dress or what they listen to is.
Well, I'm just use the goth thing as, but I'm just saying maybe a lonely kid at a table is just perfectly normal.
Yeah.
You know, I like
when I was in high school, I hung out with, I talked to everybody.
Yeah.
And like my group of people were kind of, I guess you would kind of say more preppy, I guess. But I would hang out with Cal Hicks. Goth people were cool as fuck to me. So
Yeah,
we
man.
called them stoners then.
Yeah.
And I remember like in school when we'd be walking through the hall, like I would high five different people, and my buddies would be like, "How the fuck do you know them?"
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude, Jim was a stoner in school.
Yeah.
The coolest fucking dude that I hung out with in school.
Yeah.
We worked at Taco Bell together.
Yeah.
That's how I met him. And then I found out like he was just a cool fucking dude, even though he wore all black and dressed up in fucking neck chains and dresses sometimes.
Yeah.
He was cool as fuck.
Yeah.
And that's what, you know, I used to always tell, man, just fucking talk to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not any better than anybody. It's like you said, I might have more in common with that fucking person than the people that I'm really hanging out with.
Yeah, man. Try and find some common ground with kind of everyone.
Yeah.
And to that point, that's kind of this thing and what you've done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got a lot in common with these people.
Yeah, like that's
Drug addicts wouldn't have hung out with you if they judged you from what,
exactly.
like, you know.
They got straight edge.
Yeah. I would get hit with that all the time. I was like, oh,
You don't understand.
yeah.
Fucking
I remember one of the first times I ever like had to like not run a meeting, but like I had to like, you know, facilitate a meeting. And so I'm getting them started. I was like, oh, this is regular AA meeting. And I was like, my name's Cesar. And I skipped over like alcoholic addict part, and someone yelled in the back, alcoholic addict. And I was like, neither. And they're like, oh, you're in denial. And I was like, no, I've never done anything. And then someone else in the back, oh, you think you're better than us? And I was like, not even close. And then I was like, I think I was most overwhelmed I'd been at that point, where I was just like I was tripping over my words, and I'm like, oh my God, thank God someone else was there that came in and saved the day for me.
Yeah.
But that's what I had to tell everybody every time. I was like, because I'm on this side of the desk doesn't make me better than you, because I've never, you know, been where you've been with, you know, a bottle in hand or, you know, pills, whatever your DOC was. I'm not better than anybody. You know, I am a person like you, you're a person like me, and we all have our own struggles. And I just want to make sure that you're able to get the care you need and get better so you can live your life the way you want to for yourself and for your loved ones. And that was my thing.
I can tell you're kind of a quiet guy.
Oh yeah.
And I think about being put in that situation. I would have had a conversation with that dude right there.
Yeah.
Think you're better than us? Let's talk about that for a minute. Like let's chat about that.
I've never sucked dick for coke, so maybe.
Like, look, just because I haven't put a substance in my body doesn't mean that I don't feel the same way that you do.
Yeah.
You just decided to do this. That's okay. That's why you're here. But I'm here to fucking help, because I feel a lot of the same way that everybody in this room does. And I never touched a fucking thing. So
the one thing I remember telling someone, I don't know how many times I'd brought this example up with them, or a few other, you know, clients at the time, was I was like, y'all's drug was alcohol, heroin, whatever your DOC was. I was like, mine was my sadness.
yeah.
I let myself feel sorry for myself for nothing, because I have so much to be thankful for. And but for whatever reason, I don't know what it was that really made me feel so down and so depressed about, to the point where I was like, I'm going to kill my fucking self. I don't know what it was, but I found comfort in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because nobody could tell me, nobody could invalidate what I felt. I was like, I feel sad.
It was yours.
I was like, you don't understand what, the same thing that the clients would tell me is, like, you never been through this. You don't know what I feel. I would say the same thing to other people. If I ever talked about why I'm sad, because they would tell me stuff like that. I'd be like, you have so much to be thankful for. Why are you, like this? And then I had to gaslight myself to like make myself feel better, and be like, yeah, you're just being a fucking bitch. You got this.
Yeah. Man, when you're in those feelings, like feeling depressed, I don't know if I ever had depression when I was using. I'm sure I did, but I just used to get around it. And when I got sober, that's actually when I started. Like, I used to always tell people, just fucking man up. It's a mindset. Change your mind. Change your thinking. And when I was married to my daughter's mom, she went through depression. And I just never understood it. I'm like, dude, we have so many things to be grateful for. Why the fuck are you sad? And she would be like, I don't know, I'm just sad. And I just didn't understand that. I wasn't the best person to come with that, right? And now there's days where fucking I'm just sad.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for me to be sad. I'm just not feeling it today, right? And Destiny's always like, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm just like, just let me bitch. Let me fucking whine for 10 minutes, and then I'll get over it. So as long as I don't like sit in that pity party shit, I think when you're feeling in that, it's okay to fucking identify it.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. Like for me, if I allow myself to sit in it all day, I'm going to fucking not be good for anybody that day. And I'm going to bring everybody around me down. And it's just going to make it worse throughout the day.
Yeah.
So I think if you can identify it, like, I'm just sad today. Okay, well, fucking this too will pass too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And if I can get through that moment and get to something else, or fucking even take my mind away from it to go do something else, then I think that's one way that you can battle it without fucking picking up. Because unfortunately, when you're in recovery, we can't use drugs to get around that shit no more.
Yeah. That's why I said, I threw myself in a lot of hobbies back then, whether it was going for a walk, going for a drive. I love to drive.
Me too.
It's expensive habit now because
Dude, I fall asleep after like 20 minutes.
Not me, man.
I started fucking dozing off.
I'll put on a playlist. I love Spotify because they'll make these playlists for you. I love finding new music. And so I would just drive, listen to the words, listen to whatever music genre was. And that's what I would do. I would go drive around. It's super expensive to do that now with gas being what it's at, but that's what I liked to do. And so I would go drive. If I felt, the need to scream, I'd be in the car and just screaming my head off.
Yeah.
Go play golf or,
Dork.
I love golf.
Yeah.
I do too. I suck at it. I play it. So when something you said earlier, like when you would ask people in recovery, like, what do you like to do? Hobbies. So that was something that I didn't know anymore because I had been using drugs for 10 years. What do I like to do? I like to get high.
Yeah.
Like, that was my hobby. And I tell people all the time, like, when you get sober, you got to fill in your gaps, right? Like, on the days that I had my daughter, I knew I was going to be safe, right? But on the days that I didn't have her, if I'm sitting in this house, sad and depressed, whatever, those are the days that I've got to fill my time with something else. So I started golfing. I started working out again. I started like doing all these, playing softball, playing volleyball, and like going to meetings. I started filling my time because I didn't know myself anymore. So I had to find myself again, and I had to find out, what do I like to do? Like, I started playing pickleball. Fucking love pickleball. Golf, terrible at it.
Yeah, it's fun to just get out there. Though,
fuck out there. But there's something about when you hit one good golf shot, it's like, holy shit. Like, that was it was an amazing feeling, right? But I always tell people, like, when you get sober, you definitely have to find some hobbies because I can't hang out with who I used to hang out with. I have to separate myself from them. I love them, but I can't hang out with them. And then I got to go find who I am now because for 10 years I was lost. I know who I was 11 years ago. I know what hobbies I liked then, But people change in 10 years or 11 years. So I had to go find new ones.
Well, and I watched you go through the thing where it was like you got out and you were meeting. I mean, you were going to meetings at lunchtime. You were going to meetings after work, like every day. And
3 times a day sometimes.
yeah, he was having that, I got to stay here, right? Which is okay. That's good. That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
Right. But you got to create an identity outside of that too.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure they're out there where it's just like, this is it. This is all I'm doing is these meetings, and I'm in recovery and I'm immersed and I'm, you know, but it's like, man, you gotta.
Yeah. Well, like, I think like the whole point of recovery is like, it's so that you can live your life how you're supposed to, and live your life is like doing things, going places,
Right.
not being stuck in the rooms.
Right.
Yeah.
Those rooms are great. They're safe spaces, but at some point, you know, you got to take the training wheels off.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. I had a buddy that I was going to meetings fucking every day, 3 times a day sometimes. And he was like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? I said, man, I'm going to a meeting Friday night. Saturday, I'm going to a meeting Sunday. He's like, did you get sober just to go to meetings? And it's like what you said, you got to figure out your life. It's so you can live your life. The meetings are a great place to go, and they're a great safe space. But eventually, I think that you got to figure out, well, what am I going to do with my life now that I'm sober? Like, am I going to go to 3 meetings a day? I mean, it takes an hour for the meeting, 30 minutes to get there, 30 minutes. It's taking up my entire day. Or am I going to go be a dad? Am I going to go do things for myself or my fiance? Or go just enjoy life, right? I think, you know, you got to find a happy medium in there. I go to meetings now. If somebody that I know is getting a chip and they ask me to go, then I'll always show up for them. Or if somebody asks me to go to a meeting, like somebody, hey, you still go to meetings? Man, maybe we should go to a meeting. Somebody that's kind of scratching that surface. Yeah. I'll always make time to go to meetings with them. And when I'm feeling spiritually unfit, when I'm not feeling Jesus in my life, I'm like, I need a fucking meeting. Those are the 3 times I go to meetings now. I go to probably 1 or 2 meetings a month. I went to one last night because my homegirl got her chip. So, but yeah, I'm a big believer in you didn't get sober just to live in a room. You got to go figure out what you want to go live for. Now, if that's where you want to be and you just want to help thousands of people, that's great too. You know, everybody's different. But I like that. At some point, you got to take the training. You got to get out of that safe space.
Yeah. That's coming from me, who, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Someone's not, is not in recovery, but
yeah, dude. But I've so I know Caroline. She's 12-stepper. Mm-hmm. So inevitably, you're probably working them right along with her.
Yeah,
like,
I'll hear the verbiage. You know, she does her grateful, you know, list and stuff like that every night, and she's got me doing those here and there. I'm pretty bad at doing them, just because and it's not that I have a hard time finding stuff to be grateful for, but like one of the things she always tries to tell me, she's like, anybody can be grateful for like this, like the big things, right? I'm grateful for, you know, having a roof over my head, having this, but one of the things that she does is like being grateful for like things about ourselves, you know, like, oh, I love my I don't know, something, I love my hair or something like that, you know.
Fuck, I can't say that.
Yeah. But, you know, it's things like that. She tries to get me to like look a little bit more, I guess my problem is because like, I try to look too deep. I try to make it too deep.
Yeah.
And so she's like, sometimes you can be on the surface and just be okay with like, what can you immediately see that you're thankful for? It can be just be like, I'm thankful I got this fucking Taco Bell last night or something.
Yeah.
You know? And
I'm grateful for this diarrhea I'm going to have tomorrow.
Yeah.
As a result.
Grateful for the opportunity
to
have it, you know? And stuff like that. And, but yeah, you know, she does her stuff and I have to, you know, I don't have to, I support her because that's what I want to do.
Right.
And,
well,
one of the ways I find me being able to support is like, well, how can I do like my own part? And I think having worked in recovery is like, even if I'm not an alcoholic or an addict, but I've read the texts before. I've been in the meetings before. I've been in the rooms. I can always take something out of those meetings.
Amen, dude. I do too.
It would definitely make you feel more grateful when you go to one.
Oh yeah,
Like when you hear other people and the shit that they're going through.
Yeah, that goes back to like when I said I was like I have to gaslight myself sometimes. Where I was like, dude, like I do not have it that fucking bad,
Bro. We were at a hockey game the other night, and our job changed our pay plan. Right, we're very blessed where we work. They take very good care of us. But anytime they change something, I'm always like, they're fucking us, right? And we're at a hockey game, and my supervisor always calls me the night before when they change something to let me know because he knows I'm a leader in the room. And if he can get me on board, I can get everybody else on board. But if I'm the one in the room that's like, this is bullshit, everybody's going to follow suit.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there fucking arguing with him, not arguing, but bitching. And I get off the phone with him, and I'm talking to Destiny, and Destiny's like, well, like, how bad is it? Like, are you gonna this? And I'm telling her, like, well, I'll be able to still make this. And she's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, is that you're bitching because of that? Mm-hmm. And then as I'm bitching, this guy walks past us, and he's got an army shirt on. He's carrying his daughter. He's got shorts on, and he has 2 aluminum legs, right? And you know he lost those in a war somewhere. Yeah. I mean, he wouldn't have an army shirt on, I'm assuming. And I had to sit there, and that's how God humbles me, is he puts somebody like that in front of me and like, look at you, you piece of shit. Yeah. You're bitching and moaning about this. And this guy's going about his day, and he's not fucking complaining at all.
Yeah, he's got a smile on his face. I'm at a fucking hockey game, dude. Like,
bro, I would not, if I had aluminum legs, I'm never wearing shorts again. Yeah. Like, that's because I'm going to worry about what people think. This dude just fucking walked past us like nobody's business.
If I have aluminum legs, I'm never wearing pants again.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to look at it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just going out there, just underwear all the time.
Fucking
look at him.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's like, you know, there's so many things to be grateful for.
Dude, there is. Like, to your point, me being in this arena now, it's changed me. Just in 1 year's time, it's changed. I can only imagine it did the same for you working there every day. But now that I'm doing this, and I'm not doing it every day, you know, we're showing up here once, twice a week, but it's definitely changed my perspective on what I'm grateful for. It's also kind of, in some ways, made me a little more insensitive. Mm-hmm. To people who are complaining to me about shit now. Yeah. Now I'm just like, dude, I had a lady that was traded for an 8-ball of cocaine the other day in front of me. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was just like, you're complaining to me about the fucking shoes being expensive or something, you know. I'm just like, Jesus.
Yeah, we all have our own like little, you know, first world problems that we.
Dude, I mean, they're all ours, right? Yeah. And I do need to be better about being more sensitive to that.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for that change of myself because it's got me to look at everybody different.
And I think like that's, man, I don't know, I can't remember if it was more recently or if it was like years ago that I heard this, but it was like, when you're going through shit and you're here, right? You're not living how you were, you know, during active addiction. You're here now, and then shit's fucking horrible for a period of time. And then putting it on like on your gratitude list is like, I'm thankful that like that I have the opportunity. Like, this is my rock bottom at this point.
Yeah.
You know, this is the worst things they're gonna get right now. I've already been, you know, in the gutter, and now all I got to worry about is like, yo, my fucking utility bill, it's $300 or whatever. You're like,
yeah, but that's awesome because like the utilities are cool.
Yeah,
I like the air conditioning.
Well, you're like, I have the means to pay for that utility.
Yeah,
you know, reframing my mind and like in that way to be more in a positive light than thinking negatively like that. It has been one of the best takeaways from working in recovery and working in treatment. Couldn't be more grateful for that, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're about to have a baby.
Yeah.
28 years old.
28 years old.
What do you think about that, man?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have my own anxieties about becoming a father. Obviously, Caroline, she has kids, my stepkids, and love them. But it's different, like it's like they're, 17, 13, and 10.
Yeah.
And so they're self-sufficient for the most part. Sometimes they
I mean, that's this. I know what you mean. They're able to like throw a hot pocket in the microwave.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you're not gonna die if I pass out. Like, I get what you're saying. Like you're
yeah, they can use the air fryer. You can do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, but now I'm going like I have I'm gonna have a little baby rolling around, trying to, get me to be better for them. So I'm like trying to I feel like I'm pretty good as a person.
You are.
But
But
a man.
nothing's
And
gonna
so
prepare
I'm
you
like,
for that.
I'm like, there's nothing that I have to focus on that way. But I'm like, man, how am I gonna give them more than that I've had? And not materialistic things, but like I'm gonna make them a better person than me.
Yeah. Well,
And that stuff is that's what makes me anxious. It's never like taking care of the baby.
you may not have any control over that. Dude.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like me and Caroline, we were talking about this before the podcast. When she came on, and she was like, I found out I was pregnant, and I started crying because, and I get it. Like, she's got older kids that are. So I was telling her I've got a 23 and a 16-year-old. I'm done. He's like, so you wouldn't like cry if you found out that you were pregnant right now? And I was like, I mean, I don't think I would cry. I think it would be like the anxiety of fuck, I'm restarting the clock. But I'm in such a better place now to have a child, like mental, all of the things that I mean, my daughter was born when I was 21 years old and my son 29, about your age. So I was still fucking, I am still a moron, but I was such a bigger fucking moron, back then. So, and she like looked at me for a minute. She goes, you just changed my perspective on that. Thanks. I was like, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like I was one of the first meatheads to have a kid.
Yeah.
Of my friend group. Like, and so like I became this authority on like, hey dude, what do I expect? And how do you do it? And I'm like, bro, I cannot prepare you.
Yeah.
I cannot, because money isn't a thing, because it doesn't matter what you make, whether you're a millionaire or whether you're making $10 an hour, you're going to make that shit happen for that kid, no matter what financially. It's the least of your worries. But I cannot tell you in words, and I never will, how different your life is going to be the instant that kid comes out of the womb.
I was thinking about that the other day. I think we were driving back from her doctor appointment, and I was like, kind of questioning myself. I was like, do I feel different? Like, I know we're having a baby. I've seen the baby, on the ultrasound. I was like the gravity of the situation it's still there.
Sure.
But I still feel like I'm like,
you're seeing fucking sonar and Doppler radar, baby.
'Cause
it's still in there. It's safe.
Yeah.
in there.
It's like I'm watching TV right now.
That's
what it feels like.
I mean,
like,
it's fucking for real, dude.
And she asked me, and she's like, you gonna cry when the baby's born? And I was like, probably.
You don't know. You don't
like,
know. Like, I mean, it's such a fucking worldly shock.
Yeah.
You may even cry without you even knowing that you cried. Like, that's how fucking nuts it is.
Yeah.
You're just like, holy shit, that's a human being.
It was just like pure adrenaline and like, you're in shock of like, I was like,
yeah. And then you go into, I did that shit. Yeah. What's up? Yeah.
yeah. And so I was like, I'm excited. I think we have a great family. We have a good dynamic between like us, the kids, and then like I know my parents, my siblings are ecstatic.
Yeah.
I have 2 nieces, one that was born in December, and so she's our little girl. I think we're gonna have a little girl.
Yeah.
So at least they'll have some cousins that are close in age, and then actually my cousin, he's 4 days older than I am. We live across the street our whole life, and he's having twins.
Fuck.
And he just found out. And so, yeah, when I told Caroline that, she was like, I would die. She was like, if because she thought she was gonna. Everybody kept putting in her head that she was gonna have twins because, you know, she's had kids before, so she got to showing a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And so everyone was like, oh, she's gonna have. You got 2 babies in there. And she was like, please don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Could be triplets.
And God no, but
Yeah.
I would be excited, but I'd be like I'd be way more anxious and scared than I am now. But
I couldn't imagine having fucking twins or triplets.
yeah, like I said, I'm a twin, and so that was the other thing that came in. So she was like, but, you know, we are fraternal twins. We don't look alike. So Caroline was like, she's like, that's different. Y'all aren't, you know, that's 2 different eggs or whatever. So
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, I'm excited for the baby to be able to have at least have siblings that are older. It's going to be like a little bit of a you know, some age gap there, but I know the baby's going to be so loved and so taken care of, and it's gonna.
Yeah, you got built-in babysitters, bro.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
I
for
was going to
life.
say that, but I didn't.
Or
How long have y'all been together, you and Caroline?
Together since February of 2020. Is that 4? 23? I'm like, dude, I'm trying to think what time it is like right now. 23?
23.
So we're coming up on 2 years.
And how long you been sober? Like 4?
No, I've been sober. It'll be 4 years, July 25th.
So I got
Hey.
one question for you. How have you seen? So, did y'all meet when y'all met? Y'all met when she was in rehab, right?
When she was working.
When she was working. Okay. How have you seen the change in her from then to now, with her continuously working on herself?
She just gets better every day, man.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you got to say that shit, dude.
Yeah,
You
well,
fucking
I was like,
lying ass.
I was like, she does, but I was like,
She's right there.
Like,
Like, you better say that shit.
Act like she's not here.
Yeah.
She'll never see this.
No, yeah, she gets better every day, but, you know, but like there are times where, like, you know, she's gone through some shit, and, you know, she's buckled, where she's been like, you know, told me, she's like, man, like, I want to fucking get high, and thank God she hasn't,
Right.
you know.
Well, that's where it's. Thank God you're there too, right? Thank God that you're not also in recovery,
Yeah,
because, like, dude, if you know, that's hard whenever someone says that.
yeah,
Especially if you're thinking that on some shit too. It might be like, well, fuck, let's go have a one-off. Right?
yeah, and like, you know, I come in and, you know, when she's had those moments, I'm at least able to be there, and like, because I've worked in the field, I was like, I know precursor stuff. I know,
Yeah.
you know, like, I know what to look for, you know, and how to intervene in a way. She's a little bit harder to deal with sometimes because she doesn't say it. She doesn't express her feelings like that a lot of times.
Yeah.
She's one of those, like, you know, because what she's been through, you know, y'all heard, you know, her last week, you know, she's been through a lot of stuff, and she did it on her own. And so she's a strong enough person where she's like, I don't need to fucking go to someone to help me, you know, get through this. And so the good thing about that, since she is like, that's a catch-22, where I'm like, well, I don't hear, she didn't say anything because she doesn't need to. And then, but when she does say something, I was like, oh, this is like,
That's
really
when
serious.
That's when you really got to listen.
I was like, I really have to listen and just like be here. And I'm able to reframe, you know, her mind a little bit. I was like, what's different this time than all those other times that you were feeling like this?
Yeah.
All this time back then. And the good thing is I am able just to be there to support, just to listen.
Yeah.
But she's, you know, as far as I've known her, she's been the same person. Her essence hasn't changed. You know, she's always, you know, she's pretty blunt. She'll tell you how she's feeling. She's not going to sugarcoat it. Pretty direct. I like that, and sometimes it scares me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh shit, like, what do I say to that now? Because like I'm a how can I soften the blow kind of person,
Right.
and she's like, I'm gonna throw it as hard as I can at you, catch it or drop it.
Yeah.
And you know, thankfully I've been able to catch him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's been good. She's been really good.
She's getting stronger and stronger.
Just getting stronger and stronger. She, you know, her main thing is like I just want to be the best person I can be for her and for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm second. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, I think I'm a little afterthought on that. But she just wants to be the best version of herself that she can possibly be.
Yeah.
And myself as well. You know, I want to help get her there, and then I want to be the best version I can be for them.
Mm-hmm.
As far as our relationship goes, like there's always like I think of you know, everybody says like, oh, like they're my rock, or they're like, you know, they really hold me down. The way I've always looked at our stuff is it's a little different because I'm like, we don't want to hold each other down or hold each other back. I think of us as like, you know, she's a sail and I'm a sail on a ship because we want to continue to be able to push us forward and just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the rock thing, I forget who said it in here, but my rock can't be a living human being.
Yeah.
It can't be, because life is fragile, and it just is what it is, man. Like, that person can go away for one
think it was
reason
Critchy.
or another. Yeah, I think
Critchy
Critchy
said
said it.
That's where he talked about God being his.
Yeah, God's got to be his rock, because
Because people come and go and people die.
people. That's what I mean.
exactly
More
what
than
he said.
anything is
Yeah.
like accidents happen and people pass away, as we were told last week.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and when you make a human being your rock and it gets taken away, I think we talked about it earlier, the peaks and valleys, right? That fucking valley comes at you real quick
Oh yeah.
when you're leaning on other human beings. You know, that's why it's got to be, Chris talked about the triangle of body, mind, spirit. He's like, they're all a rock in there, and they're all attached by rubber bands, and you've got to try and keep it as triangular as possible.
Yeah.
But when one rock starts getting pulled too tight, the tension to the other two, or you know, so you've always got to find that balance.
Yeah.
So that was that's what I would. It's what I just heard from you with
Yeah.
the sale thing. Just another way of saying it.
Yeah. Like I was like, a healthy relationship should be two individuals that decide to be together and to continue to work with each other instead of like, you know, I don't want to lean completely on her because then she's gonna fall.
Yeah.
Or
And-
vice versa.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to push her, propel her further, and likewise. But at the end of the day, I'm the one that's got to, you know, hoist the sail, right?
Yeah.
I got to be the one to, you know, put things in action, vice versa. And that's just, I think we have a really good thing going, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, she's sitting right over there. You got to say shit like that right now. Next time we're going to have you on, she won't be here.
like, I was like-
You'll be like, I was fucking lying about
reminds me-
everything. Like, help me.
It reminds me. You seen that video? There's this guy. He's his girlfriend's recording him, and he's either in a little apartment, eating at a table, and she's like, "Who bought you all that?" He's like, "You did." And he's like, "Yeah, I love her so much." And I was like, "That's just,
Yeah.
with her being right there." I was like, and it's all jokes, but like, 'cause
Yeah.
I do really feel these things. But
Yeah.
I was like, I can see her like just staring.
Yeah.
at him.
Like, she's like, you motherfucker, you better say the right thing. There's so many people
Hype me
that are
up.
going to,
He's like-
there are so many people going to watch this. You better say, I'm perfect. Yeah.
It's funny.
Well, I think we got another one in the bag here, dude. We really appreciate you coming
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
and coming
Thank
on so quick after just being here.
Yeah.
We were so fucking bummed that you like didn't come in and watch.
Yeah,
You know,
I was a little
like,
too, but like at the same time, I was doing some school stuff in the cars. At least I was productive.
Fuck that. You got to stop being a nerd, man. You got to fucking just cut.
dork.
Like, you fucking dork, dude. Like, come in here and sit in and chop it up. Like, no, dude, we're super honored to have you on. After we had you in here, we were like, we got to have him on. I think that's a complete unique experience, and having it back to back like that is, I think, is really important too.
Yeah, as you've seen us, I think we are very much, opposite sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
In everything. I'll look at like our family dynamics. I'll
Yeah.
look at like just siblings. We're literally polar opposites. She's got 3 sisters, 1 brother. I have
Yeah.
I'm three boys and then one sister, and it's just very, very unique to be able to see. I was like, wow, like I can really see it's like looking in the mirror, but if it was different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good way of putting it. And we saw that kind of immediately too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we heard you were straight edge, and I was like, straight edge? Like, you never, nothing?
Yeah.
And that's fucking wild. So
I don't think I've ever met an adult that's never done something.
You might actually be the first to, like,
I don't know if I've met a teenager that hasn't done something these days.
I met, like, I mean, being in the punk rock world and going to punk rock shows when I was a kid, and dudes with X's on their hands, it was like, man, I saw him fucking, I was like, dude, you're on something right now. Like, I can clearly tell. There's not a whole lot of people out there that fucking, like, stay true and live that
True till
thing.
death, man.
Yeah.
There's all those little same thing as like in recovery, right? You have all the little sayings, keep coming back, works you work, kind of stuff like that. The straight edge movement has stuff like that, but sometimes it's a little pretentious and like
crazy pretentious. I was
I think in the straight edge like community you'll meet, there's people like me, and I say that, very egotistical in that, but like I was like, I think I'm pretty okay with anybody. I don't judge anybody.
Right.
How I worked in recovery, and then you'll have people that are like, smoking a cigarette, and they'll like think that you're the fucking devil.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's better than crack.
yeah. I was like, they're smoking a cigarette. What's wrong? And then they'll dude, I used to see people like get like beat up at shows because they were like, there would be a straight edge, gang or whatever, and they just beat up on someone because they were. No, I say gang. It's
I was
not,
about to say, what's
it's not like a gang.
The straight edge bandits?
It's not, but like, but actually that's really weird. Like I don't even know what I was going to say on that, but like,
it's faction. I get it.
It's very faction, and like, but there's stuff like that, like true till death. You're not now, you never were kind of thing. And, like, so that's like saying like, you can never say I was straight edge. You either are or you're not. You can't, know.
Well, thank you for coming by, brother. Congratulations on being upgraded to Papa here in a few months.
Did y'all come up with a name?
We're arguing again about it.
Well, I came up with a pretty good one last episode. I think Baby Joey is pretty good. It's a pretty good name.
Jolene over there.
Jolene.
Well, I'm here to tell you right now that no matter what you decide to name it on the birth certificate, that's Baby Joey. All right,
like a kangaroo over there.
Yeah, man. That's how we're rolling. I'm calling it Joey, or her. Yeah, you guys found out you're having a little girl. So congratulations, dude. And you guys are, I have no doubt I'm going to want to have you guys back and continue to talk. And hopefully you got a little more comfortable as time ticked on.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you look like you had a pool of diarrhea forming in your stomach before the podcast. And now you look normal. Yeah, now it's a solid.
I'm always like that. If I go somewhere, I'm like, say, how do I interact? And then it gets better.
We were like, you want some McDonald's? You're like,
yeah.
Nope, can't eat.
Yeah. Like, it's funny, man. I was like, it's how I am. It's so strange, and I know, like, Caroline will point it out all the time too. She'll be like,
well, she's pretty outgoing too.
Yeah,
like doesn't matter where.
Yeah,
she's at.
Yeah, she's talking to the wall.
Yeah.
I'm that way too.
No, she really did when she signed her name up there. She did talk to it.
Yeah, she was talking to the wall. It was fucking crazy.
I was like, she relapsed. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, what's
high
happening?
as fuck.
Well, let's get some pictures snapped and let's end this podcast and let's go enjoy this beautiful fucking day that we have going on. All right.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you. 2 Addicts and a Moron. We're out of this motherfucker.
Love you, Joe and Seth.